every day in this country for the last 10 years, 2 new colleges have opened. No major issue in the world today is actually decided without some consultation or discussion with India. We have changed. The world's view of us has changed. This 10 years, think of it as a foundation. On this 10 years, the building of the next 25 years will be built. And that is the building which will actually take us into a developed world. Every month, 80 crore people in this country get food grains from the government. That today our health coverage covers 1/3 of the population, 45 crores. That if you look today at the way the people have been given the support for doing things on their own to run their small businesses. Again, we are talking 40-45 crores of people. So look at the scale. People will say, kabhi kuch hota tha. Nobody denies it. But the scale and the impact at which we are doing things, that is a second change, which is the social and economic and societal change in India. The third is, I would say, in the physical. Any city you go through, and first thing when I came here, I saw metro. In fact, first question I asked him, "Wo metro ban gaya hai?" He said, "Yes, it has been going on for some time." So, a country which had, I think, maybe 3 metro systems or 4 metro systems 10 years ago, today has almost 20. So, if you look at education, every day, please don't take this figure lightly, every day in this country for the last 10 years, 2 new colleges have opened. So, the pace, and most of all, if you look today how digitally we are connected. And in fact, that was the reason I wrote the book, but I will come to that later, because today for all Indians, the world is not something far away. कि आपको passport लेकर plane में चढ़कर कहीं और जाना है to understand what is the world. World has come to us. COVID was one sign of the world coming to us. Sometimes it can be good, sometimes it cannot be good. But the one part is how we have changed. The second is the world sees this change. The world sees today, this is a place where actually we may have had, we have 140 crore people. But for the world, how many of these people are relevant? How many are skilled? How many are educated? How many are employable? And it is this change which for the world today, if foreign investments are coming into the country in such large numbers, it is because they see the talent of this society. Many countries today see that our power, our weight, our influence. We were the 10th largest economy 10 years ago. We are the 5th largest economy. I think very few years we will be the 3rd largest economy. And no major issue in the world today is actually decided without some consultation or discussion with India. So I would say we have changed. The world's view of us has changed. We should be aware of both of that. To me, it is that we are discovering more and more what we can do, and the more we discover, we will our aspirations, our ambitions will grow, and that is why actually when Pradhan Mantri talks about Amritka, that this 25 years, this 10 years, think of it as a foundation. On this 10 years, the building of the next 25 years will be built. And that is the building which will actually take us into a developed world.
Thank you. It was very good to set the context of today's discussion. I will just have one more question. The latest crisis after COVID was, of course, the Russia-Ukraine war. And India has placed a very nuanced position itself. And those days your interviews also very famous. Sometimes you were very assertive. So how could you manage, or India could manage it is very balanced and India first kind of approach where India's interests are preserved. At the same time, we take a very balanced stand between this conflict.
You know, the Ukraine conflict was of course a challenge for us, for many other countries. I think the first problem was to convince, or at least not convince, at least put before the Western countries that their experiences and their assessment of Russia is not the same as ours. That for us, our experiences with Russia in the last 70, 80 years have been positive. Theirs may or may not be. So for them to say straight away, you know, Russia is this, Russia is that, and therefore all of us should agree. You know, we will agree on the basis of our experiences and our assessment. I think that itself was not so easy to do. It wasn't so easy to do because the Western world for years feel, today they will say, Vijayji, you are a good person, we are all supposed to agree. Tomorrow they will change their mind, we are all supposed to agree again. So the fact is, how do you make your own judgment, you know? And so this is first I would say like a theory or the intellectual part of it. The second was a very practical issue. कि उनके यहाँ से दबाव था कि हम रूस से तेल ना खरीदें. Now, अगर आप देख रहे हैं कि what is happening in the world, because they were not buying now from Russia, these countries were now buying from same supplier we are buying from. So, you know, this is not rocket science कि अगर उसी supplier के पास 5 customer के बजाय 10 हों, you know now what the supplier will do. वो तो तुरंत अपना कीमत तो बढ़ाएगा. So for us, actually we had to manage oil prices. There was no option other than to look at Russia. In fact, I even argued with them saying, look, I agree, I'm doing it for India, I am India's foreign minister, that is my job. But I'm even helping the world because if I don't buy from Russia, for every country, total oil market will become very tight and more expensive. So I am actually not only solving my own demand, my own problem, but I am doing it in a way in which it is actually good for the global economy. Now, some people understood it, many people did not understand it, and you know, what the tactic is कि आपको बुला के ऐसे जैसे हम बैठे हैं, वो बुला के then they will start hectoring you, they will start pushing you कि, you know, is this right, is it wrong, do you agree, do you not agree. Now you have to, at this stage, either you bend or you are silent, or you tell them saying that, look, I don't, first of all, my experience is different, my understanding of Russia is different, my interests with you on oil are different. So we have to learn, you know, to stand our position. Now, this may have happened in Ukraine. I can give you a very different example, which is in last few years from 2017. We have built up, we have become members, and there's a grouping called Quad. Now, our Quad has grown now. There are 4 countries. They have decided in their common interest कि भाई हम मिलजुल के कुछ काम करें. Now, if the Chinese have objections, now the fact is, at the end of it all, fine, I will listen to their objection, but I will do what is in my interest. Ultimately, my decision cannot be made in China's interest, you know. So there will be many occasions. ये तो अभी माने खेल शुरू हुआ है. I mean, there will be more, you know.
So thank you for giving some indications about the future games. So now the floor is open to people. There are volunteers who will be moving around with the mic, and I encourage the youngsters to ask more questions. So this, okay, yeah, after that.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Mangesh
Just a
Joshi.
minute, hold on. Please be brief. Don't give another talk. It should be just one-liner or two-liners of questions, so that the only idea is that everyone who wants to ask anything should get opportunity.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Mangesh Joshi. I'm into turnkey interior contracting. My question is, India is part of Quad. India is part of BRICS. Different sets of countries working together for different things. How complicated is that?
It is complicated, but it is not, I would say, not so complicated that we can't do it. You know, see, what is happening with a country like India? You know, after all, what are we? We are, I would say, at least a 5,000-year civilization, the most populous country in the world, physically one of the largest countries in the world, 5th largest economy of the world, who have our nature is to be independent. You know, we cannot and we should not be part of somebody else's subsidiary of somebody else's enterprise. So, because we are independent, we have to learn how to manage our interests by dealing with different people. You know, so it can happen. It happens in our daily lives. You know, sometimes you may have some acquaintances, वो उनसे बात नहीं करते, पर you don't want to be caught in that situation. तो मैं आपके साथ भी ठीक रखता हूँ, उनके साथ भी ठीक रखता हूँ, अलग-अलग पार्टियों में जाता हूँ. That is, you know, अब सब लोग अपने पर्सनल लाइफ में तो कर लेते हैं ना. हाँ? तो मैं विदेश नीति में वही करता हूँ. That.
Yes, this person in the black T-shirt.
In black.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Joy Agrawal. I'm a 17-year-old high school student, a RISE Global winner, a Diana Awardee, and a TEDx speaker. My question to you is, how does AI affect geopolitics? And second part, India owns 1% of global website domains. How do we ensure that the Bharat narratives still goes on to AI systems while still owning 1%? Thank you.
You know, see, we are entering today a very different world. If anybody can make some educated guess कि okay, अगले 5 साल 10 साल में क्या बड़े changes होंगे, no question people would say AI will be the one of the most powerful changes in the very, very near term. How it will impact, you know, different, I mean, anybody does anything as a profession, AI will have some impact on your life. I mean, that is how sweeping it, you know. We think today digital, you know, whose life has not been impacted by digital? Okay. Even if you are not a user of digital, even then your life has been impacted because you are somewhere a beneficiary or a. So AI will be like a, you know, to power n. I mean, it will have much more profound impact. Where it would go, where it would take us, we don't know. But what is the decision which is today important for us as a country? What is the basis of AI? Data. Okay. Therefore, if AI is going to be the most powerful thing in our times, data as the resource which is going to be the basis on which AI develops has a value which is extraordinary. So it is important for us today to how to I would say nurture and manage our data and get the benefit of data, because what is happening in the world is you already have countries and companies who have monetized data, your data, and you know, often will sort of make your choices or sell you products which are derived from data which you are very happily and willingly and sometimes unknowingly given them. So one of the big challenges, I've mentioned it in my new book also, which is how do we today actually become more data conscious, and data has, you know, data privacy, that because you can have companies who may use your data for business purpose. You may have countries who may use your data. Countries who may do things vis-a-vis our national interest, who will do so enabled by data which we have very unthinkingly provided them access to. And then the fact that we use data so much in our own daily lives. So today, data privacy, data security have to be harmonized with the movement flow of data, because it is nobody's contention कि सब data जेब में ही रखें, because we have to build up our businesses also. So how do you harmonize developing business, protecting personal data, protecting the security of data of Indians as a whole? This is today one of the big issues, and I feel if you look at it internationally, there will be some countries with which we will have easier ways of working, because there will be in legal or contractual or political terms more meeting ground. There will be others with whom we will have more problems. And one of the points which I would say in the last few years, we ourselves today have imposed some restrictions on games and apps, very much with the data security in mind.
Thank you. We'll take someone from this side. Okay, maybe, yeah. Can you give the mic here?
The original black t-shirt has got left behind.
Hello, Namaskar. I'm Vinita Pasari, writer and poet. My question is, हम 80 करोड़ लोगों को फ्री में खाना क्यों दे रहे हैं?
नहीं, अच्छा सवाल है और मैं आपको उस उत्तर भी देता हूँ, क्योंकि ये 80 करोड़ लोग ऐसे हैं जिनकी आर्थिक समस्या, जिनकी रोजगारी की स्थिति ऐसी है कि वो अपने आप जो उनके न्यूट्रिशन लेवल के लिए जो अनाज, जो खाना जो मिलना चाहिए, वो उनके लिए असंभव है. तो किसी भी देश में सब लोग एक समान के नहीं होते. जब आप अगर विकसित देश की भी बात करें ना, आप कोई भी देश ले लीजिए, यूरोप जाएं, अमेरिका जाएं, आपको क्या कहेंगे हमारे यहाँ सोशल वेलफेयर सिस्टम है. सोशल वेलफेयर सिस्टम माने जिसके पास काम नहीं है तो आप उसको कुछ पैसे देते. आप कहेंगे सोशल वेलफेयर में हेल्थ है, जो डॉक्टर के पास जाने की उनके पास या तो क्षमता नहीं है तो वो जा नहीं पाते, तो उनको छोड़ दें क्या? या जिनको काम नहीं है, जो मान लीजिए कि कहीं फसल फेल हो गया है, या जिनकी सिचुएशन ऐसी है कि हर समय उनको 3 दिन में 3 रोज रोटी नहीं मिलती. तो ये मैं कहूँगा ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी है कि अगर हमें पूरे देश को साथ ले जाना है, अगर हम कहें कि हमारी कल्पना है एक दिन हमारी कि हम विकसित भारत बने, तो हम ये नहीं हो सकता कि 20% देश आगे बढ़े, 30 कहीं बीच में लुढ़क जाए और 50 पीछे रह जाएं. तो हमें सबको साथ ले जाना होगा. और खासकर और ये प्रोग्राम जो है इसकी एक कोई हिस्टोरिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट भी है. आप जानते हैं कि 100 साल पहले हमारे देश में ये एक महामारी आई थी, स्पेनिश फ्लू. हमारे करोड़ों लोग मरे उस समय, और ज़्यादा मृत्यु जो है वो रोग के कारण नहीं हुआ था, वो भूखमरी के कारण हुआ था. तो जब ये कोविड का समय आया, आप याद करिए कि कितने लोग जो हैं बिना काम के रह गए, कितने लोग अपने घर गए. तो हम उनको उस स्थिति में छोड़ सकते थे क्या? तो ये हमें तो बल्कि गर्व का विषय होना चाहिए कि हम जो हैं आज हमने अपना न्यूट्रिशन लेवल बढ़ाया है. और ये मैं कहूँगा इसकी बहुत साउंड इकोनॉमिक्स भी, कि इसका लाभ आपको रूरल इकोनॉमी में दिखाई देता है. कि आज हमारी रूरल इकोनॉमी की ग्रोथ अगर आप देखें कि जो अनाज आपको कभी, अब 10, 15, 20 साल पहले आप याद करें, लोग कहते थे कि अनाज खरीद के गवर्नमेंट जो है वो साइलोज में रखती थी, वहाँ सड़ते थे वो। तो अब सड़ने के बजाय ये सर्कुलेशन में, और अच्छे इसका जो लक्ष्य जो है वो है कि माने आप किसी को, नो वन शुड बी लेफ्ट बिहाइंड, नॉट इन हेल्थ, नॉट इन न्यूट्रिशन, नॉट इन फूड एक्सेस. How can we say we want to be developed country and they're hungry people?
Yes, that student in the tie. Yes, you can stand up. Yeah, this one. Just a minute. After that, yeah. Please go ahead. No, you go ahead. Mic. आप वैसे ही बात कर सकते हैं.
Sure, sir. So my name is Satya Prakash, and I'm an Indian Revenue Service Officer of 2023 batch, sir. Some 7 of us are here. And sir, my question is, sir, the United Nations Security Council hasn't been able to prevent the wars ever since it was set up. I mean, most of the wars. But some of the members have successfully prevented the entry of India or India getting a permanent seat in the UNSC. So with your years of experience, sir, how do you construe the relevance of the UN system, number one? And secondly, what should India do in this regard?
I would say first the relevance of the UN. You know, the UN used to be more relevant in 1950s, 60s. Huh? But what happened was, as the number of countries grew, and those 5 who were the self-selected chaudharis of the system, they actually, see, it was easier for them to dominate a smaller number of countries between whom there was a big gap, that their power or their authority was there, rest of the world was there. What has happened in the last 30, 40 years? That is no longer the case. You know, I'm now taking India itself. That, you know, today the 5 permanent members are not the 5 largest economies of the world. That is just one indication I'm giving you. Also, what has happened is, with the passage of time, other countries have developed the confidence to challenge, saying, I don't agree with what you are saying. Then they are fighting among themselves also. That, you know, we've seen in Ukraine that they could not, even themselves come to an agreement. So, and even during COVID, everybody said COVID is, the worst thing which has happened. It was, if you look at the number of people who died, the number of deaths in the world would compare with what happened in a world war. But what was the role? Us samay, think back. Did anybody think UN was going to help anybody in COVID? So the fact is, in many ways, the limitations of UN are showing. Now, in normal life, in anything, when some product or some organization, any organization gets older, what do? You bring in newer people, younger people. You bring in new energy. You broaden out. Even if it is company, you will get more stakeholders. You will. Now, what is the normal process of renewal and change, which is applicable everywhere, in every walk of life? That natural process of change today is being denied in the UN. It is being denied in the UN because there are just a few countries. Because when you ask me what are our prospects, 20 years ago people would say, yes, India ko hona chahiye, one day they will get there. With each year, definitely with each 5 years, 10 years, I can see people actually feel, no, India must be there. We actually feel strongly you are not there. Sometimes when I meet other foreign ministers or leaders, before I bring it up, they tell, ये बहुत अफसोस की बात कि आप नहीं होते, अगर आप होते तो कुछ और होता. That feeling is very much there. And people also realize our value, because just I give you अभी जो हमारा G20 का अनुभव जो था, G20 after the Ukraine conflict started was in a very difficult situation, because between Russia and Western countries there was a complete disagreement, and many of the developing countries, जो हम global south कहते हैं, they felt that their interests on trade and debt and these were being ignored. Now people did not think that there will actually be a consensus, a Sarv Sahmati in the G20. There was no expectation that the Delhi meeting in September will produce a united outcome. But we managed it. Now, why I'm citing that to you is, if a country has such a capability, such a country in the UN Security Council can actually contribute as well. But I would say, with each passing year, the feeling in the world is India ko hona chahiye. I can feel that support. Like in many cases, you have to continue, you have to persevere. The world does not give things easily and generously. Kabhi lena bhi padta hai. So we'll have to, keep moving on.
Yeah, last one in the white shirt. आएगा अभी. I will.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Parth Vyavare. I am a second year engineering student from Vellore Institute of Technology. Sir, India was criticized for buying Russian oil during the Ukraine-Russia war. But on the other hand, major European and Western countries were dependent on Russian gas for their power. Sir, so my question here is it due to the past stance of India that India always gets criticized for putting up its interest first?
So let me ask you a reverse question. Which country does not put its interest first?
So of course each country puts its interest first.
Okay. तो हमारा इसमें दोष क्या है?
So
look, हम जो हैं, we are actually hesitant. Somewhere, we feel it is, diplomatic or good manners, or we must get along with people. So somewhere we tend to hesitate from saying, what we should be saying. Since you raised this India First, this book which I have just brought out, I started looking, where has this term, who all have used this term? I found a very interesting person. And I will even read out to you that particular quotation, that a person who says that, we keep fighting for the rights of China. This is not an exact quotation. India was fighting China's battle for permanent membership of the UN Security Council. This championing by India has created problems with the United States and has jeopardized our own relationship with the United States. So this person asks the Prime Minister of that day, saying, why are we putting some other country's interests ahead of ours? It will interest you to know, the person to whom question was asked, you will all guess, was Pandit Nehru. But it will interest you to know the person who was asking the question was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. That he is actually very, very troubled. He is very troubled by, he's not saying, he said, I don't agree, disagree, but we should approach another country with our interests as the forefront. And somewhere in our tradition, I think that has not been as strong as it should be. I'm not saying we never did it, we did it at times, but not as clearly as other countries do. That, even as you are saying, If you ask them saying भाई आपने कहा तेल नहीं लो तो आप गैस क्यों ले रहे हैं, जैसे नहीं नहीं आप नहीं समझते, हमारे यहाँ पब्लिक ना वो नहीं मानेगी अगर हम गैस बंद कर देंगे, तो हमारी पब्लिक मान जाएगी कि हम तेल नहीं लें, पर आपकी पब्लिक नहीं मानेगी कि आप गैस न लें. So that is a kind of a I would say mentality, and it is today to me this is part of the self-confidence today that we need to develop. It is not my view that we should go around necessarily fighting with the rest of the world and arguing with everybody, but I think where our interests are concerned, we should be very clear and be prepared to both advocate it and defend it strongly.
Okay, a lady in the, yeah, please go ahead. I will, after this. Yeah.
जय हिंद सर. सर सोशल मीडिया पे आजकल कई तरह के नैरेटिव्स होते हैं जिसमें भारत को अलग अलग तरीके से लोग इवैल्यूएट करते हैं. आपके अनुसार आज के यूथ में वो कौन से इंडिकेटर्स को फॉलो करना चाहिए जिसके बेसिस पे वो खुद का एक परसेप्शन और खुद का एक थॉट प्रोसेस बना सकें?
देखिए, एक तो मैं सबसे पहले मैं यूथ को कभी मैं एडवाइस नहीं देता क्योंकि वो जानते हैं क्या करना है और क्या नहीं करना. और मुझे पूरा भरोसा है उन पे कि अगर जो अमृतकाल में देश आगे जो ले जाएंगे विकसित भारत की तरफ, मुझे पूरा भरोसा है कि युवा पीढ़ी, भारत की युवा पीढ़ी ये कर पाएगी. अब और ये भी आप पूछ रहे हैं सोशल मीडिया में, वो तो माने डबल प्रॉब्लम है. तो नहीं, सोशल मीडिया देखिए, सोशल मीडिया जो है इट इज़ अ रियलिटी. कुछ लोग हैं जो हमारे पीढ़ी के हैं जिनके लिए इसके माने एडजस्ट करना उतना आसान नहीं है, क्योंकि सोशल मीडिया में लोग बहुत खुल के बात करते हैं, अपना ओपिनियन देते हैं और ऐसे देते हैं जैसे अगर वो न्यूज़पेपर में लिखते या कहीं कैमरा में भी देते वो और माने कहूँगा क्या अपने थोड़े ज़्यादा सेल्फ कंट्रोल के साथ कहेंगे. तो पर मुझे लगता है कि हमारे यहाँ ये एक किस्म से ये एक नई एनर्जी बन चुकी और ये एनर्जी जो है एक न्यू हमारी डेमोक्रेसी को भी बहुत मजबूत बनाती है, क्योंकि डेमोक्रेसी होता क्या अल्टीमेटली इट शुड बी अ प्लेटफॉर्म फॉर डिस्कशंस. तो आई नो एडवाइस बट गुड विशेस.
Sir, my name is Bhargav Mahesh Deshpande. I am ninth. My question is, sir, do you think the harsh relation between India and China will affect the all important relation between the two countries, or the relation will break down, or it will be vulnerable?
थैंक यू. पिछले सालों में इंडिया चाइना के बीच में थिंग्स हैव नॉट बीन गुड एंड नॉट बीन ईजी. एंड इसका मुख्य कारण ये है कि हमारे बीच में कुछ एग्रीमेंट्स थी, सालों से थी, और ये लिखित माने ये कोई ऐसा कोई समझौता जो था माने कोई इनफॉर्मल नहीं था, बहुत स्पष्ट था. और ये था कि हमें अगर अपने बॉर्डर में पीस और ट्रैंक्विल, एक तो जब तक पड़ोसी हों आपस में, जब तक सीमा में पीस और ट्रैंक्विलिटी ना हो तो जो रिश्ते जो हैं आगे बढ़ने की संभावना नहीं है. तो ये उनको भी पता था, हमें भी पता था, इसीलिए. और अगर आप देखें जब से हमारी रिश्ते जो हैं नॉर्मलाइज हुए हैं, 62 में युद्ध हुआ था, उसके बाद 14 साल लगे हमें एक एम्बेसडर वापस भेजने में, उसके बाद 26 साल लगे 62 के बाद पहला प्रधानमंत्री गया, राजीव गांधी जी गए, चीन गए. और 93 में और 96 में 2 एग्रीमेंट्स हुई थी, उसके बाद भी हुई थी 2005, 6, 12, 13. और इसका जो निचोड़ ये था कि दोनों साइड जो हैं वो जो लाइन जो बनी है, क्योंकि हमारी सीमा जो है वो म्यूचुअली अग्रीड नहीं है, कि दोनों साइड जो हैं वो फौज कोई संख्या में फौज नहीं लाएंगे वहाँ. और अगर कोई मूवमेंट भी होगी इस संख्या से ज़्यादा वो दूसरे साइड को बताएंगे और तभी मिलिट्री मूवमेंट होगी। अब 2020 में इन्होंने चीनियों ने इसका उल्लंघन किया और एग्रीमेंट होने के बावजूद वो बड़ी संख्या में वो लाइन ऑफ एक्चुअल कंट्रोल पे वो अपनी मिलिट्री फोर्सेस लाए। और उसके बाद आप जानते हैं कि वो गलवान में वो घटना हुई और अभी भी हमारी भी फौज वहाँ और ये मोदी जी ने कोविड के समय में, जब आप जानते हैं पूरा लॉकडाउन चल रहा था उस समय देश में, तो लॉकडाउन के स्थिति में तब भी हमने मिलिट्री मूवमेंट की और बहुत माने बड़ी संख्या में मिलिट्री मूवमेंट की। और तब से हमारी फोर्सेस भी हैं वहाँ, उनकी फोर्सेस भी हैं, आमने सामने हैं वहाँ। तो हम तो चाहते हैं, ये तो हमने तो किया नहीं है, पर अगर हमारी सीमा में फौज आए तो हमें तो अपना डिफेंस तो देखना ही होगा। तो हमारी जो अप्रोच है उनको, और ये मैंने खुद मेरे जो काउंटर पार्ट हैं उनको समझाया है कि जब तक आप बॉर्डर में इसका कुछ सलूशन नहीं निकालेंगे और अगर ये आमने सामने फोर्सेस ऐसे ही रहेंगे और उस तनाव रहेगा, तो आपको ये अपेक्षा नहीं रखनी चाहिए कि बाकी रिश्ते जो हैं वो माने नॉर्मल तरीके से चलेंगे, वो असंभव है। तो ये नहीं है कि आप यहाँ झगड़ा करो और वहाँ बिजनेस करो, ये माने इसको आप ऐसा लाइन नहीं कर सकते। तो आगे देखना होगा, अब डिप्लोमेसी जारी है, तो कभी कभी जो ऐसी मुश्किल स्थिति जो है वो एक जल्दीबाजी में इसका उपाय नहीं निकलता, तो हम लगे हुए हैं इसमें।
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम है दिलीप कामदा। आई रिप्रेजेंट अ ग्रुप ऑफ हॉस्पिटैलिटी बिजनेस नैवेद्य नाम। सर, in 1927 Mao said political power flows from a barrel of a gun. About 50 years later, the same country probably started saying political power flows from the barrel of an economic gun. But sir, all to your credit and to the current Prime Minister, we must say that India has been winning friends and influencing nations across the world over the last few years. What is the new paradigm, sir?
You know, I think power flows from many barrels. And not, economic barrel, I agree with you, especially because I think we have not given it the kind of attention that we should. That today, if you look at the last 10 years, I'm sure many of you would be from the business world. You would have seen in your own companies or maybe in companies people producing things in India which they were importing from outside. It was possible for us to have produced it even before. It is possible for us to produce even more in the future. But we need, we need a leadership and a vision and a national commitment that, when I go around, somebody today asked me how many countries have I been to. I have not counted, but I know it is more than 100. And I have lived in 8 countries in my life. I see in many countries, people take great pride saying, this is made in my country, this is my product. Jo gift jo dete hain, bahar jate hain. People will give you, most countries will give you gift which is made by them. So, until we increase our production, until we as Indian consumers also buy our production, we will not grow our industry. Now, it will not be easy to do because business people will say, sir, वो China में 15% कम या 50% कम पे मिल रहा है, तो मैं यहाँ से क्यों खरीदूँ? And they have a point, because as a business person, you will say, I'm not doing national duty, I'm doing business. But even for business, I would say in the long term, you have to think, how long are we going to depend on other countries and their cheap machinery? Because one thing we saw in COVID, you remember, मैं January 2020 की बात कर रहा हूँ. We were looking at that period before the lockdown. That time there were 5 or 6 ministers. I was one of them. Prime Minister told us, you are the group dealing with COVID. हमारे health minister थे Dr. Harshvardhan. So under him, so myself, Hardeep Puri ji, Mansukh Mandviya ji, there were two others. Now, when we actually examined what was our capability of dealing with COVID, उस समय ना मास्क बन रहे थे, ना PPE बन रहे थे, ना वेंटिलेटर बन रहे थे, ना दवाई बन रही थी. I mean, we were looking actually at a state of manufacturing in India which was truly frightening. And we asked people saying, अच्छा कहाँ से लाएं? They said, oh, there is one source, आप जाइए वहाँ. अब पूरी दुनिया वहाँ गई. And those people raised price double, triple. There were things they raised price 10 times. They would cancel contracts because the new rate they were getting was much better than the damage of the cancellation of the contract. So, and we are not the only people who experience it. Many other countries in the world have experienced. So we have to understand today, after COVID, Sasta Mal will not be the basis of economics anymore, of international economics. Many people would say, I would rather make, maybe pay more, maybe have more expensive, but at least it is mine, I control it, it is made in my country. And I feel as a big country, it is not just COVID, even as a strategy, that, you know, if we admire today, say, Japan or a Korea, saying, देखो वो कहाँ थे, कहाँ पहुँच गए, they make so many things. You don't become world leader immediately in some area. You have to grow step by step. But to do that, we have to somewhere build up our economic strength. Without economic strength, because I hear this argument sometimes saying, you know, we are not capable of manufacturing. Okay, if we cannot manufacture, I can tell you we will never be technology leaders in anything, because you cannot have you cannot say I will be good in technology but I'll have no manufacturing. So, and if you are not good in technology, that means in the race of the next 100 years you are giving up. You know. And same, the other part, I would say another barrel is a very important barrel, cultural barrel. That countries also make just, you know, like you came and said, you know, my brand is this. Countries also have a branding, and countries' branding is their culture. That we, you know, if you see, we often very readily accept what is a cultural practice of some other country. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not against other cultures. But I would say we should also practice and propagate our own culture. So today, I see the results. You know, first time when Prime Minister Modi proposed कि हम UN में जाएं and we move this International Day of Yoga. I don't know how many people took it very seriously. I mean, even I would say honestly, even I was only half convinced इसका क्या परिणाम होगा, कितना impact होगा. Today, when I see how much in 10 years, how mainstream it has become across the world. There are many, even our wellness practices, that if there are many things we will take, we will do it at home. Somewhere to other people, it looks very strange, because we have never made an effort to explain to them what is, you know, may not even be Ayurveda, it may even be daily practices that we follow. So how do, in fact, somebody today asked me even about festival, saying, you know, puri dunya jo hai Christmas manati. Nothing wrong with it, but we should make an effort. Puri dunya Diwali bhi manaye. Your black shirt.
Yeah.
Tibet का government हमारे यहाँ, we have the Tibet government in exile, and finally China is the, अगर India को geopolitics में raise करना है, that is the gorilla in the room. How do we counter it, and what are we doing in election in Taiwan, maybe helping Tibet free, Mansarovar अपने यहाँ कब वापस आएगा, and so on.
A long question, I'll give you a very short answer. Buy my book. You'll get all the answers there.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much, sir. This is Samir Deshkar, and I'm professor in Vishweshwaraya National Institute of Technology. One of the major sector through which the relationship between the countries get reflected is education. We have many young minds migrating to countries. In fact, that's the first reason we migrate and then settle and on the job. So in the changing times, how do you see the academic diplomacy working? Which are the new directions that are taking shapes, and how the Indian institutions should prepare to align themselves with this changing academic diplomacy?
I think it's a very good question because, at any given time, there are right now about, I would say, 12 to 13 lakh Indian students studying abroad. Okay. I'm not, if you just look, forget about other things, you look even at the revenue implications of it. But here is the problem. If we do not have adequate capacities, why do people go abroad? Not everybody goes completely out of choice also. People also go out of compulsion. If we do not create capacities within our own country, then that itself is a problem. So expanding our education, I would say infrastructure, to me is a very, very big priority. Because if we are to sustain, not just sustain, but deepen growth, create, and some of it we can already see. One of the big changes again last 10 years is if you look at patent filings in India, it has gone up tremendously. But if you are to do all this, become technology leaders in different domains, because we are looking at a world, as I said, of AI, of EV, of green technologies. So in such a world, expanding facilities. Number two, more collaboration, because there is a disconnect between our academic world and the world. So if we are, because it's also in a way good for us to have people, there is a global demand also for people. Not everybody going abroad may settle. We are finding more and more people going on 5-year visas, doing a job, coming back. So to me, more institutions, improving quality of institutions, that is also very big because our quality is very, very uneven. Then more international collaboration, more international students in India. Our international student numbers are very low compared to so that they also learn more about India. Then tying the education much more closely than we have normally done to employment. And looking at education not only in terms of college degree, but looking at it in terms of skills and, anything which will make you ready for the workplace. I think some progress has been made with the new education policy, but the notifications have just happened. We'll have to see in the next few years how this unfolds. But I would say, given how much more technology-centric world will be, technology-centric actually means people-centric, because you are interestingly transferring a lot of your knowledge onto something inanimate. And to me, that means much more focus on high-skilled human resources. I think that is really where I feel the future of our country's leadership lies.
Also in that context, you may like to add that now IITs are opening campuses.
Yes. We've had two IITs so far go abroad. But I see a lot of private universities also do the same. So, sometimes, in fact, it's very interesting. In the last 2 or 3 years, many countries want agreements with us for mobility of people. They are talking And these are, countries like Germany, Italy, UK, who would like, because of workplace demands, to provide mobility, easy movement of people from one country to other. I think because, given our demographics, given our skills, I think this is also an opportunity. And of course, frankly, as Indian businesses grow, as India's growth rate enhances, as prosperity, is not limited to big cities, I think that also will create a demand in India itself. Because, see, the honest thing, the fact is, a lot of people, if they get opportunity at home, why will you take the trouble to go into a foreign environment?
Always, yeah, maybe this.
Hello, I am Aditi Godbole and I am currently pursuing BTech. So my question was, as we all know that we are the 5th largest economy and globally emerging leaders, but despite of all of this, most number of Indian passports were surrendered last year as compared to the previous years. So why do you think that we as a country face this problem of brain drain, or why do you think people still suffer from the colonial mindset?
So, it's a very difficult question to answer in very broad terms, because I told you we have today about 1.2, 1.3 million students who study abroad. Some of them come back to India, some of them don't come back to India. There are people who go as professionals, spend some time. Now, many of them make their judgments. Often, there are countries where if you keep a foreign passport, your work opportunities are less, or maybe your income tax is more. So it is a personal choice which people make. Also, the fact that many more Indians today are working abroad. In the foreign ministry, we issue passports. So I know every year how many passports have been issued. Every year, I would say there's a 10-12% increase in number of passports, because people feel today confident saying, okay, let me go work for some time abroad. Now, some people, there may be people who have, had relationship, developed families. That can also happen. So there are a variety of factors, but in a democracy, you have to accept what individual choices are, because that is the nature of our life, even in India. We cannot say that I respect your choice in India, but when you go abroad, you have to listen to me. So, but the best, to me, the best answer for that is really how do we provide more and better employment opportunities in India. But again, I would say this, we should not think of going abroad as necessarily as a negative. That if you look at, right now we are having a tension in this Red Sea area, because missiles are being fired and some ships are being hit. One of my concerns was, because when I met some of the big shipping companies of the world, how many Indians are working with shipping companies? That, in fact, the head of the biggest shipping company, Muller-Maersk, told me that his #1 nationality of employment is Indian. So we should also take pride today that in the hospitality business, in the aviation business, in the shipping business, Indians are today, willing to take employment to make their contributions, because for us, wherever they work, it is a plus point for us.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. I am Rajesh Salpekar. I am a final year law student at the National Law University of Nagpur. Now, recently, sir, we have seen that there is some rift with Maldives, and the Out India campaign was the undertone lying underneath. So my question is, how does India always ensure that its interests are further, irrespective of the global change in governments?
That is what we are trying to do as part of what we call neighborhood first policy. But that said, politics is politics. So I cannot, guarantee that in every country, in every day, everybody will support us or agree with us. But seriously, as a solution, what we are trying to do, and I would say in last 10 years with lot of success, is to build, I would say, a very, very strong connect, so that though the politics may go up and down, the people of that country, the society generally has good feelings towards India and understands the importance of having good relations with India. So how do you do this? What it means in practical ways is that, let us say, we are involved today in building roads, electricity transmission, in supplying fuel, in providing trade access, in making investments, in having people holiday in other countries. All these are parts of how you develop those relationships. So we have to, as I said, sometimes things go not in a good way, and then you have to, in my business, you have to reason with people and try to bring things back to where they should be.
Yeah, I have one question in this context. In last your tenure as a secretary and then now as a minister for the last 9 years, can you highlight 3 or 4 biggest achievement of India's foreign policy which will have very long-term impact?
I would say, I'm not saying it in any particular order because some recent memory is there. I would say one, how much today our relationship has changed in the Gulf. And it was most visible when the UAE president came just now to Gujarat. That, we've historically, for centuries had close relations, because monsoon would bring people up and down. But if you see today how many Indians work there, there are about almost a crore Indians who work in the Gulf. Not just who work in the Gulf, the fact that actually during COVID, the Gulf countries looked after them in a very special manner. Today, if you look at the trade, you look at the, I would say, the political and security confidence. But most of all, if you look at the way they see us, the respect. And, next month, we will be seeing the opening of a temple, Swaminarayan temple in Abu Dhabi. And to me, that's a very profound change in how that region looks at us. A second change, I would say, would actually be US. US has been changing from the time of Atalji. That some of you may remember, unke samay mein President Clinton aaye the, and from that time, what was frankly a very difficult, almost negative relationship from 1947 till for 50 years it started changing under Atalji. It continued thereafter. We saw the nuclear deal. But this time meaning last June, when I went with Modi ji to US, I felt there is a difference in the way in which America views India today. That the levels of how we dealt with each other is more equal. That they recognize the importance that particularly India holds for the technology world, and that the enthusiasm of American business for India has also changed. They were never very strong there. Because you asked me where has it changed. Another country which has changed tremendously is Australia. That in Australia, in fact, for some reason, even now, I don't fully understand why the Australia relationship really was neglected. But after many years, Prime Minister went there in 2014, and today, in fact, you look at it, Australia is one country which is. There will be some very smaller countries again where things have changed, but I would say today there will be a number of relationships where, say, for every country you need one, most reliable friends, okay, little bit less, but the more you have a group of people, group of countries who will support you on issues that are very, very important for you, it makes a very big difference. So, some years ago, when Article 370, the abrogation took place, 2 countries, I will not name them, 2 countries made an effort to take it to the UN Security Council. Okay. What surprised them was, UN Security Council के 15 member होते हैं, 5 are the permanent, 10 are non-permanent. We were not members of the council. So, in a sense, your case was being heard, but you are not in the room. But it was very interesting that actually a large number of countries who these 2 countries did not expect very clearly stood up and said, why we brought this issue? This is India's internal affairs, so we should not be discussing it, so we will not agree to it. So even today, they may be very small, population-wise. Some of them may be very small countries. In one case, it was a country with whom we did not even have an ambassador. So I promised them that day that I said, look, I will make an embassy, I will send an ambassador, I will come personally there to thank you. But this, how to build, internal diplomacy is very human. How to build this relationship, look after them. You have to do things for them also, And for us today, I would say what we did during COVID, that by giving vaccines to almost 100 countries, there are many countries in the world, because that ehsan chukana is a very, very natural human habit. And that is something we should, that is why I argue that, we should be in many ways generous to others. It's a good thing we are doing, but it is also a way by which we serve our own interest.
Yes, sir. You are waiting for a long time.
सर, हमारी सनातनी व्यवस्था पुरुषार्थ की है और उस व्यवस्था के अंतर्गत यदि हम मुफ्तखोरी को और फ्री बांटने वाली व्यवस्था को यदि बढ़ावा मिलता है, जो पिछले 20 साल में बहुत ज़्यादा मिला है, तो जो पुरुषार्थ करने वाले लोग हैं उसकी निराशा को आप लोग कैसे डील करेंगे?
नहीं, देखिए ऐसा है, मैं जो आपकी बात है मैं बिल्कुल समझता हूँ, पर मैं आपको ये भी कहूँगा कि जो हम अगर आप पूरे देश को आप परिवार की तरह देखें, हम सब चाहते हैं कि परिवार में कोई पीछे न छूट जाए। सबकी कहीं ना कहीं ये नहीं है कि कोई आलसी था या निकम्मा था, कुछ लोगों को अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलती नहीं। तो जो ये समावेशी जो अप्रोच जो है कि क्योंकि मैंने ये देखा है, देखिए मैं मुझे पॉलिटिक्स में उतना समय नहीं हुआ है, पर तब भी जब मैं जाता हूँ और ख़ासकर मुझे एक ज़िला की जिम्मेदारी दी है वहाँ गुजरात में, मेरा अनुभव है कि आप थोड़ा लोगों को हेल्प करें, वो खुद उनको उस हेल्प से कितना वो आगे उनकी सामर्थ्य निकलती दिखाई देती। और जब तक आपने उनको वो चांस नहीं दिया, आपको पता भी नहीं था कि उस लड़की में या उस लड़के में वो टैलेंट था। तो मैं कहूँगा कि एक अंग्रेजी में कहते हैं ना कि इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी, हमें अपॉर्चुनिटी का भी देखना चाहिए कि आप इसको समझिए कि जितना अब ये मुद्रा लोन जो है अब, और एक और भी लोन प्रोग्राम है स्वानिधि, ये अनसिक्योर्ड लोन्स, पर इसकी रीपेमेंट रेट से आप हैरान होंगे कि ये नहीं कि लोग पैसा लेके भाग जाते, इसकी रीपेमेंट रेट माने 85%, 90% अनसिक्योर्ड लोन पे। तो मैं कहूँगा कि भरोसा करिए देश पे।
So last two questions, for one with a light mobile. Yeah, please go ahead. वो आ रहे हैं।
सर नमस्कार, मैं अमर इंदुरकर। आप भारत के विकास के लिए सभी मोर्चे पर लड़ रहे हैं। इसी समय आपको भारतीय समाज से क्या अपेक्षा है और आपका स्वदेशी के बारे में क्या मत है? और आखिरी प्रश्न, हम पीओके कब घूमने जा सकते हैं?
जो देखिए स्वदेशी के बारे में मैंने पहले भी कुछ बातें रखी थी कि मुझे लगता है कि जो आत्मनिर्भर भारत है या मेक इन इंडिया है, वोकल फॉर लोकल है, या ये विश्वकर्मा प्रोग्राम जो है, कि अगर हम लोग जो हैं अपनी परंपरा, अपने इतिहास, अपनी संस्कृति को नहीं पहचानेंगे तो हम कैसे मान के चलें कि दुनिया पहचानेगी? कि अगर नहीं सर, मैं देखिए मेरा अनुभव है कि मैं मुझे विदेश सेवा में 41 साल हुए। मैं जब भी जाता था कोई मुझे कोई डॉल दे देते थे कि ये देखिए हमारे यहाँ ये इट्स अ वेरी वेरी हाई एंड डॉल, वो सालों से बन रहा है, या कोई बॉक्स होता था या कोई प्लेट होता था या कोई कुछ कपड़ा होता, कोई फैब्रिक होती थी। अब मुझे हर समय लगा कि भाई ये दे तो रहे हैं, कितने गर्व के साथ दे रहे हैं, मुझे भी उसी सिचुएशन में होना चाहिए, और कभी कभी हम होते भी थे। अब पिछले सालों में हमने ये निर्णय लिया है कि जो भी हम देंगे, ये हम जो वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट वन प्रोडक्ट है उसके प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं, या जो हमारे यहाँ, जैसे जब मैं गुजरात का संसद सदस्य बना तो मैं गुजरात के जो वहाँ का जो ट्रेडिशन, क्राफ्ट वर्क, जो क्लॉथ वर्क जो है वो मैं देता था, और मैं लोगों को समझाता था कि ये क्या है। तो ये जो है इकोनॉमिक्स, कहीं ट्रेडिशन, कल्चर, इकोनॉमिक्स, प्रोडक्शन, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, ये सब का एक कनेक्शन बनता है। जब हम आत्मनिर्भरता की बात करते हैं तो ये एक किस्म से एक माइंडसेट है। तो जब हम कहते हैं कि भारत जो है ये डिस्क्रिप्शन नहीं है ना इतिहास, भारत एक किस्म से एक माइंडसेट कि हम क्या हैं। तो हम चाहेंगे कि ये खासकर युवा पीढ़ी में ये माइंडसेट जो है कि अपने कल्चर, हेरिटेज, ट्रेडिशंस पे वो गर्व करें। और ये ट्रेडिशन और टेक्नोलॉजी, ये इनकी कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन नहीं है कि हम ट्रेडिशन के बेसिस पे टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से भारत को विकसित बने।
Next question.
Okay, one lady, last question from her. You said एक मिनट बैठिए. Hello, sir. Sir बैठ जाइए. आप बैठ जाइए. Please, please बैठ जाइए. ये इनको दीजिए mic.
मेरा नंबर लाने के लिए विजय जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. एंड माय क्वेश्चन टू यू मिस्टर फॉरेन मिनिस्टर is about China painting Africa in its color. All the African countries that we see are painted in Chinese color today. Most of them, I mean, their presence there can't be denied. And the kind of infrastructure that they are developing, the Congo is to copper what Saudi Arabia was to petroleum. Entire copper is going there. Sir, how do we counter that? Do we have any checks in future to do? Thank you.
We first counter it by not accepting what you stated, which was that, you know, somebody has come and taken over a whole continent. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you 2-3 examples. We just had, 2 days ago, President of Mozambique. Okay. We have today the largest energy investment in Mozambique is from India. The biggest mine, not all, but very large part of the mining investments are from there. The Mozambique military, Navy, uses Indian boats for its key security duties. In fact, if you go to Maputo, you will see these Mahindra trucks, all the soldiers are on Mahindra trucks. I will give you another example. A few months ago, we had President of Tanzania. Okay. हमारे यहाँ जल जीवन मिशन है, आप लोग सब परिचय होंगे कि we do water connection to all the houses. Now, many of our companies have become so proficient. We have today, as part of credit loan which they have taken from us, there is a project connecting 28 cities of Tanzania, the water connection. So when I was driving around in Tanzania for them, I was the minister who they associate with water coming to their homes. Okay. We opened our first IIT actually in Africa, and we opened it in Africa deliberately because we want this for all the African students to become a premier institution so that the top engineers of Africa can say, yes, I was trained by an Indian institution. So it is not that, you know, we have also in many ways tried to advance our interests. So it is not the same in all parts of Africa, because East Africa is closer to India. So if you look at South Africa, Mozambique, Kenya, Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, in fact, if you go to many of these countries, in Ethiopia, almost everybody in Ethiopia will tell you, I was taught by an Indian teacher, because there are so many Indian teachers who have gone in contracts over many, many years to Ethiopia. The issue for us comes back to this, because I'm taking now a bigger view of your question. See, world is competitive, life is competitive. If you are doing well, I can say, yaar, ye kar raha hai, he is dominating. I can keep grumbling. If I am serious, I have to be ready to contest. If you have to be ready to contest, you have to first get your home in order. You have to get the country moving. You have to get infrastructure. You have to get manufacturing. You have to get good governance. It is with that you have today. I would say after 10 years, we have a better ability to compete. We have things in India. Other people look at us today. You know, one African president actually asked me, because he was very interested about how these payments, direct payments hote na to people's banks. And then he himself said, look, we have the same system, and he used the same word, hamare yahan itni leakage hoti hai. So I had to say that, how we have today stopped these leakages. So I think today we have experiences. People do see what we have done. There is one thing which people feel about us, especially in Africa. They feel that Indians have a large heart, that even at a time when we ourselves were dealing with COVID, we were willing to help. So they don't think they are here only as a that I think we have today, जो प्रधानमंत्री कहते हैं, that try to establish yourself as a Vishwa Mitra. I think that is today what we are trying to do. And the stronger we are at home, I can tell you, the more success I will have abroad.